Hi, Hemant. We are live on YouTube. I think we can start.
Thank you. Good evening, members and guests joining us live today for UAE Regional Group 10th CPD Talk. Welcome. Let me highlight this event is sponsored by our sponsor Hempre, leading protective coating system for structural steel. One of the objectives in iStructi IPD is material. And to tell about structural steel certification, we have a specialist from CARES, which stands for Certification Authority for Reinforcement Steel. They provide certification in 6 different categories, like ISO 9000, material certification, product certification, and sustainability area. And as we are progressing towards technology, we have specialists from CARES who has done his study from Istanbul Technical University. He is Faculty of Chemistry and Metallurgy, where he gained a BSc in Metallurgy and Material Science Engineering. He continued his further study at United Kingdom. Throughout his career, Ayhan has attended numerous general management and specialist training courses. In particular, he has developed an extensive knowledge of the management system standards like CARES provide QMS, EMS, and operational health and safety management system certification. He is expert in all this area. He has delivered webinar at various forums, and today we are hosting him on this platform. So we will request our distinguished speaker, Ayhan, to take us through his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your nice introduction, Hamad. And hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. So as it's been explained in the beginning of the session, the webinar session, I'm just going to give you some highlights about the critical aspect, and especially in sustainability and supply chain management, which is completely digitally enabled. And I just would like to give you some critical highlights about the process. And hopefully we would be able to discuss in the end of the presentation if you've got any questions. So if I can quickly start from the contents, basically today's presentation is going to cover some feedback and information regarding the CARES activities and CARES as an organization, and also the key challenge which we are trying to confront, and also the solutions and how we are going to manage the digitalization. A bit more broader aspect, we would like to talk to you through the conformity assessment model scheme, which is kind of covering an upstream and downstream, the product conformity assessment supply chain. And I'm just going to talk about the key solution, which is digital ecosystem, and we call it digital passport system. And I'm also going to talk about the UAE steel regulation, which is new regulation as a legislation is being published last year, December, and it's going to be fully mandated in this year, December. So then I'm going to talk about some green procurement initiatives, exactly what's happening in the construction industry, how people are kind of trying to look for their more sustainable construction material, and what requirements people are kind of thinking about. And I'm going to give you some good case studies, what really the key the construction clients are doing at the moment as we talk. The activities and organization, very quickly, we are a conformity assessment institution. It's a body, not-for-profit body, established in 1983. And we do provide, obviously, some of the certification services activities you can see on the right-hand side of the slide deck. This is the key area we are specialized in. And then obviously we're conducting those assurance and certification services in the global scale. So basically, the product certification is in the center of our business, and also on top of that, we started providing sustainability assessment and certification for the steel industry, and as well as the other suite of product, as you would see from the list here. And all our services are accredited, internationally recognized accreditation bodies, and the accreditation bodies, some of the key ones are already listed here as well, as you can see. So this is the broader prospect. It's a congested slide, I know, but since you're going to be shared this information, it will be important to understand what level of product conformity certification we are talking about and how CARES is delivering these services. Obviously, the key core services we're delivering is anything and everything about reinforcement steel, together with the concrete products we are in, and then we are providing this assurance services. And for different product categories in the reinforcement steel side, the different product standards, as you can see, from BS, ASTM, and other group of product standards, and also downstream side, which is the fabrication and also further processing of the reinforcement product. We do provide this assurance services as well. And PC wide and strand, welding, post-tensioning applications, and technical approvals on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, as you can see, we do provide sustainability certifications, as I mentioned to you, and other management system certifications integratedly. This is our organization chart, very simple. The CARES has got a head office operations back in the UK, and we have got these entities, as you can see in the list. So we have got operations in Hong Kong, Australia, Singapore, and quite recently in the UAE. And CARES has got I think, quite a widespread coverage in the international the market. So we do work in 47 different countries, and working together with 140 steel manufacturers. So it's quite a wide spread. As you can see from this map, those numbers are the number of the companies we do work together, and we do provide that level of assurance services for the benefit of construction industry. And these are some of the key projects, and obviously some recognitions the CARES has been specified. As you can see from the key construction projects from the infrastructure side, rail, road, and road sectors, HS2 is one of the key one, and Dubai Metro in the UAE is again one of the key. The project RTA is specifying CARES in some of the key construction projects, which is available in the public domain as well, majority of them. And also the tallest building in the world, Burj Khalifa, we've been specified, and not just for mechanical splicing, reinforcing steel, but also mechanical splicing and some other CARES products. And as we talk currently at the NEOM, the line, and some other key projects, these are the ones also CARES has been specified within the specifications. So if we come to the challenge right now, as you know, we've been talking about decarbonizing the construction sector, and I don't think that you have seen this slide first, especially the one which is indicating the impact of the materials in the building's emissions impact from the slide you can see. So obviously steel production is responsible around between 7 to 9% of the global warming emissions, according to the World Steel. World Steel is an organization where more than 75 steel manufacturers are members, and working hand in hand. They are sharing their product data, environment data, and statistics, so which is, again, something available in the public domain. You would be able to see the details. And the world, in average, we are talking around just slightly under 2 billion tons of steel is going to be manufactured this year. And half of this 2 billion tons are expected to be in the buildings and infrastructure. And another half of it is going to be reinforcing steel. So we are roughly talking, as you can see, around between 400 to 500 million tons of steel. So the impact is quite critical. We need to understand critically, and obviously this life cycle information is provided here, which will try to make it quite clear understanding about the GWP figure, which is the global warming potential or greenhouse gas emissions potential. And 50% of 50% of that is basically coming from between A1 to A3, which is in the product stage. So you can understand how important it is to find out where the steel is made, how it's been manufactured, and also processed and also shipped into the actual construction site. So these informations are becoming extremely critical. And that is exactly why we need to find out how transparently we can find this information and reach this critical information and use it in our construction projects. So obviously, when we're talking about the steel and then the embodied emissions in the steel products, there are three key categories of production routes. Basically, we are just kind of categorizing it according to different product types. But historically, in Europe, most of the structural steels are to be made by blast furnace or basic oxygen furnace, which is based on virgin iron ore, and then reinforcing steel using electric arc furnace. And stainless and special alloy steel, again, blast furnace and basic oxygen furnace, which are obviously typically have got higher emissions compared to the electric arc furnace steel making. So the domestic and regional production, obviously, we need to understand what sort of the product type is manufactured locally, and what sort of technology the way of steel making is used in our region, specifically if we are talking about UAE, for example, or GCC. So you will in the later part of the presentation, you will understand what exactly the type of technologies has been used to manufacture that sort of steel products. So, and then there are lots of discussions going on in terms of understanding the embodied carbon and emissions, and especially from the technology point of view, how exactly the novel technologies can be implemented, and then how these novel technologies can help to cut down the greenhouse gas emissions, and with what sort of technologies can be implemented and used in the industry. These are the key the areas which I can tell you quite, I think, confidently, the entire steel industry is really fighting for to find out the best and most economical and practical and efficient system to be used just to cut down these greenhouse gas emissions, which is going to take, I think, some years, as there's no doubt. So this table is kind of demonstrating us, showing us what is a typical the carbon value per ton of steel into different steel manufacturing process. The first line is indicating a scrap, we call it post-consumer scrap, used electric arc furnace steel making. So this is one of the key, the process where the reinforcing steel is manufactured in the global scale. So in this technology, or in this route, in the manufacturing route, the recycled content we are talking about is going to be around 98%. And then the average GWP figure, which is the global warming potential figure per ton of steel, which is manufactured through that route, is going to be around 780, 790 kilogram CO2 per ton. And the second one is going to be DRI, which is direct reduced iron and electric arc furnace together. So which is, again, we are using electric arc furnace here, but the raw material is not scrap. This is a sort of virgin iron ore, which is processed and to manufacture as a DRI. And then this DRI is used in electric arc furnace and produce steel. So, and then again, this is going to be interesting because the recycled content, you will see, it is varying between 3% up to 32%. And then the GWP figure, which is the carbon figure, is going to be around 2,000, just slightly above 2,000 kilogram per ton of steel. And in the world, that production route representing about 7% of the global steel production. And scrap-based electric arc furnace steel production represents around 21% of the production route in the global scale. So thinking about this 2 billion tons of steel, and out of that, only 21% is manufactured through scrap route, and only just 7% is manufactured by using the DRI technology, which is called as direct reduced iron technology. The majority of the steel in the world, it is still manufactured through the conventional way, which we call it the blast furnace or basic oxygen furnace, again, based on completely a virgin iron ore material, and recycled content is again up to between 15 to 30% top. And it is GWP figure, it has got about 2,500 kilograms CO2 per ton of steel. And it's a dominant manufacturing process of steel making. So out of this 2 billion tons of steel, 72% is manufactured through this route. And no doubt you would probably going to know all the leading country in the world manufacturing steel is China, representing 50% of the global steel manufacturing, which is equal to around 900 million to up to 1 billion tons of steel. So this is just an information about the local production route. So this is from obviously UAE, and definitely focusing on the UAE side. So if you can see, these are the key major players here. So, and then their capacity, their estimated manufacturing, the tonnages of steel. The biggest player is Emirates Steel here, and which is representing nearly 57% of the entire country's steel production. And we have the other key players like Conares, Union Iron and Steel, and AGSI and others here. They are all listed, and their share in terms of their production tonnage is also demonstrated here in this slide. So their EPD, we have got some of their EPDs already in the system and obviously presented. And it's in the public domain. You can easily go to the CARES website and go to CARES website sustainability, and then you will find out all these companies' EPDs. Obviously, some of them hasn't got EPD yet. So I'm talking about AGSI, Gulf Steel, Shataf, and United Iron and United Steel. They don't have any EPD at the moment. And obviously, we cannot make any estimation based on that manufacturer's GWP figure. So yes, this gives you a bit of an understanding where exactly we are in the region, specifically in UAE. Okay, if you come to the decarbonization roadmap, this is one of the favorite slides we really like to talk about, because it is quite, I think, representing what is really happening in our industry. So thanks to BCSA, which is the British Construction and Steelwork Association, they have worked on this roadmap. And I just would like to clarify and interpret. And if you've got any question, of course, you're more than welcome to ask. So as you can see, from the demand side, technically, how we can reduce the overall, the carbon in a typical, obviously, project, the design efficiency and then the circular economy approach is taking quite a considerable amount. We are talking about just about 30%. You can consider from even in the demand side, less CO2, and then you can consider reducing that CO2 amount from simply just adopting a good design principles and also a good implementation of the circular economy. So this is definitely going to be quite effective and considered quite heavily. If we come to the supply side, obviously, we are talking about making the steel and then and manufacturing the steel and also processing the steel. So yes, we can directly consider the cutting the emissions coming from the steel making the process up to 28%, which we can do it by simply through the steel making process. And obviously, we again have got the opportunity to reduce another 6.5% from the electricity grid, the power grid, the network, the power network. So if you decarbonize the electricity grid, and you can make a very clear reduction of 6.5% directly coming from that impact. The other part, which is again up to 25%, but this is still I mean, arguable, because some people make some strong comments about this carbon capture usage and storage, CCUS in short terms, how expensive and how inefficient and how very impractical it is. So we're not obviously operating steel companies, but from the information collected and made it in the public domain is kind of suggesting that it's not very cost-effective way of capturing the carbon or reducing the CO2. But having said that, this is still around 25% opportunity is still there. And if you have got the opportunity, if you got the infrastructure, you can still reduce 25% of your CO2 by simply adopting the CCUS technology. And another 8% is coming from the steel transport and then in the fabrication and erection side, which is again 8% is a not too bad CO2 reduction rate you can gain. So this is a kind of global information, what it is really you can do in your decarbonization roadmap up to 2050. So this is something we believe important to know and remember. So another key issue we've been always talking in different world, and if virgin iron ore steel making has got very high, well, at the moment, based on the current manufacturing technologies, high carbon impact, and why don't we just simply use electric arc furnace only and then use scrap in order to decarbonize our construction of steel products? Well, you would probably agree there's not enough, obviously, scrap right now to feed the entire world steel manufacturing. That's one thing. So we still need to consider, and we still need to understand the fact that we will need a virgin iron ore to manufacture steel. So that is why you cannot completely rely on scrap to manufacture sustainable or green steel or low carbon steel. And we still have to consider there was still going to be a virgin iron ore steel manufacturing processes used heavily. And until these new novel technologies developed to completely decarbonize the process itself, just not relevant to the scrap, but also the process, steel making process. So this is another quite an important, I think, approach we need to understand. So yes, that is why we cannot completely ignore the lack of the scrap availability in the entire world. So yes, and the challenge is obviously is how am I going to combine this building safety requirements also with net zero, especially from steel perspective and steel construction steel products. How am I going to make sure I can ensure the building safety, and also I can also make sure and access the accurate data that this is also net zero at the same time. So obviously, the only way to do it is managing your product data and making sure they are accessible digitally. So these are the key imperative we believe. So we are really following this and trying to understand, obviously, how we can support. And I don't think you have, this is something not familiar to you. You have probably seen it before. Because this is one of the IStruct publications. So it's a very good guide, and we really like to refer it and use it, and to explain it when we are talking to different stakeholders. And it's a good document. If you read it, you will see the key principles mentioning and addressing about what exactly things can be done in terms of decarbonizing. I'm not going to dive into detail, but I'm just showing you as a good reference document. And this is another important step. So obviously, the hierarchy, which has been, again, very clearly presented by IStruct, the senior team in different webinars and seminar programs, this hierarchy is quite critical. And obviously, we need to first of all stick with this key hierarchy to understand and what exactly I can contribute to the decarbonization, simply starting from building nothing and all the way to build efficiently. So yes. And IStruct and CARES working, I think, quite together and closely, just to review and report this GWP figure for the construction steel products, and specifically focusing on reinforcing steel products. This figure has been shared with the iStructE team, and it's been published in the guidance document. You can easily find out, so it's available for I think anyone who would like to access. So this figure is giving the CARES sector average figure, which is in the red rectangular, as you can see. The recommended default value we've been recommending to the industry to consider through the EAF production, electric arc furnace steel production, is 760 kilograms CO2. That figure was before we published our most recent sector average. The new sector average GWP figure is 787. So it's not too dissimilar, but it's around the same rate we are talking. And digitalization is going to be quite key. Let me put all this into the here. So, I mean, as consulting engineers or structural engineers, we may not necessarily be fully aware and fully up to date how convoluted and really complicated this supply chain, because what you see in a typical construction projects, okay, the steel is probably manufactured in the country of origin in when you are and where the construction project is, and then it's been just, you know, transferred to the next door neighbor who is doing the fabrication, cutting and bending, processing, and then mesh making, fabric manufacturing, and welding, and etc. And then it's been shipped to the construction site. Well, it's not really like that, quite like that. So we just need to understand how complex is the supply chain. It is really very complex because steel products are, in the world, it's one of the heavily internationally traded commodity. So any steel producer, depending on the market conditions, depending on the advantages, obviously, the cost benefits, and it can be traded, you know, thousands of miles away, and it can be used in any construction projects. If you do not really understand how this complex supply chain works, you wouldn't probably be able to understand clearly what impact really you need to consider when you are calculating about obviously the carbon impact and also the other key traceability aspect of your products, which you are bringing it into your project and using it. So the key, obviously, I'm not going to read all, but it gives you a good flavor to understand how it is quite streamlined by using the digital technologies. So if you can ensure there is a digital traceability mechanism embedded and implemented in your supply chain, you would be able to see everything transparently, all the way from the mill, the product mill, where the steel is made, and also to the detailing process, the processing side, which is cutting, bending, downstream processing, we call it, and then delivering to the project, installation, and obviously connecting the product data to as-built structure. So that is exactly why we developed and designed the CARES Cloud system. It's been already more than 7 years. We've been heavily working on this, and this is a game changer, we believe, and it's extremely beneficial from the engineering point of view to understand what exactly the key advantages you can get by adopting this digital approach. Because everything is in your doorstep, you will be able to see it on your screen. With the help of your advanced dashboard system, you would be able to understand all the way from the manufacturer till the end of the process where the steel is coming from, which mill the steel is manufactured, and which transport mode this steel has been transported and brought into your doorstep, and obviously the GWP figure, the carbon figure, and then how you can separate them from each other and make sure they are 100% traceable. These are the challenge, but we have, I think, developed a solution with the help of the industry stakeholders. So this cloud technology enables you to have that transparent data. The CARES Cloud system, very quickly with a few words, it's a digital ecosystem and using a cloud-based platform and also the complementary apps. Some of the apps you can see on the left-hand side. Obviously, we have the Upstream Cloud app, Downstream Cloud app, and some other apps which has been developed as we talk. And the CARES Cloud system enables steel manufacturers to publish their CARES digital records into the CARES Cloud system. So these digital records are the key, the product records, and also environmental records that you would need it. So this record contains the product information, the properties, and also the sustainability credentials, basically recycled content, if you want to know, or EPD data, which is GWP figures specifically per ton of steel. Again, we call it carbon footprint. You would be able to access directly by simply implementing the cloud technology. So as built embodied carbon is the key parameter right now, we just need to understand how we can control. Basically, as I have already touched based on, the source of rebar could be thousands of kilometers away, and then you could end up, shipping that reinforcing steel, construction steel into your country, and then you can process it into reinforcement products, and then after that you will be using in your construction project. So you want to know, especially right now, for the consulting engineers, the sustainability, the professionals, structural designers working in this area, and they are desperately in need of high quality data, which will help them to accurately and quite efficiently design their projects by understanding fully how the material supply chain works for the construction steel product. And CARES Cloud system enables them to access that product data and obviously use that data into your projects. So this is bringing a lot of transparency into the supply chain by simply understanding all these critical steps. So there is one more example. This is a typical project dashboard, which has been completed, and there are several others right now happening as we talk. So imagining of a steel mill using, there are different steel mills manufacturing steel and shipping into your project. So how you're going to make sure you can have an accurate data representing that steel mill in terms of their tonnages, in terms of their GWP data, which is the carbon data, and how you're going to calculate the total GWP figure for any segment or any critical part of your construction project. Well, the cloud system enables you that. And with the help of CARES Downstream Cloud, and it enables you the use of actual carbon data during the construction phase, and it overcomes many of the challenges really identified by the industry. I'm sure you would second it, because the most critical information is to understand exactly what it is, the carbon data of your steel products, for example, and use any of your construction projects. And then there are a lot of carbon savings. You can get it quantified and based on the actual manufacturers of the reinforcement, and also based on the quantities, exact quantities used any of these construction projects. So the key, obviously, the key critical benefits, I think we need to talk quite openly. The traceability of the product from the manufacturing source to site, because it's not anymore hidden. You would be able to see 100% which mill the steel products has been manufactured, and you can trace it back all the way down to the source. When I say source, it's a cast or heat or the batch specification, because this is quite critical. And if you have that traceability, then you would understand everything about the product specification. The second part is most reliable, accurate, and easily accessing the database where we keep the carbon data, the GWP figure. So that information is available and accessible through the help of the cloud system. And third, probably one of the most critical, the key benefits is accurate as-built carbon accounting. So this is the one most of the sustainability consultants or the key engineers working in this area, they just want to understand how they can get this figure. And cloud system enables you really to find out and to use these accurate as-built carbon accounting data. Okay, this part is so far talking about the carbon, the CARES Cloud system, the CARES Cloud digital tracking, and where the steel is made. I'm talking about roughly 140 steel manufacturers producing around 1 million to 1.5 to 2 million tons, so roughly 300 million tons of steel product data. It's available in the CARES Cloud system. And the one who has got that EPD reporting system completed, part of the sustainability certification, the GWP data is also available in the cloud system. We call it the carbon data, so you can easily download it and use it in your projects if you're authorized to use it. Okay, this is quite interesting because in the UAE, the MOIAT, the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technologies, they have published a new regulation. Well, the industry, the stakeholders helped, including CARES, obviously, to generate this new regulation. It's a law, it's a legislation, and it's published with the Cabinet Resolution number 121 in 2023, which is representing, I think, the sequence number. So we believe this is published in December last year. So this is, in short, UAE system for construction and steel products. So it includes lots of new changes and new features, which I'm going to take you through. Of course, not the detail of the entire regulation, but very key highlights, if I may. It's a summary infographic, which is showing you what it means, basically. The scope covering right now, the reinforcing bar and coil products, the steel billets, which is the semi-finished product used in reinforcing steel manufacturing, and also welded wire and mesh, in other words, fabric products. So this is the scope. But we were told by the ministry, and the industry needs more. So that's why CARES is going to work hand in hand with the stakeholders and also with the ministry to help to regulate the other steel products, including structural steel products, including merchant bars, including flat steel products, and high carbon PC wire and strand used in post-tensioning sector industry. So they are all, we believe, going to be regulated, but we just have to be patient. This one is the first, and then we need to wait. It's been successfully implemented. And yes, these are all the key requirements, but I'm just going to drag your attention to a couple of key aspects of it. The first one, and this is, I haven't seen any other regulation in the world, which is including as a requirement, the EPD reporting. So any steel manufacturers who wants to manufacture steel and trade it in the UAE or import it into UAE, and they need to make sure that the product has got an independent verified EPD reporting. So that is, again, something quite unique. And again, I think taking the lead comparing to the other worlds or other countries. I haven't seen any other similar requirements really as part of the legislation. So UAE made a fantastic step, and then they made it as a requirement. So which is going to give a lot of clarity and accuracy in terms of proper calculation of this carbon data for construction projects when it has been fully mandated, which is December 2024 onwards. And other products and other requirements within this regulation, as you can see on the bottom left part, you will see the digital aspect is also embedded into the regulation. So there are clear set of requirements about the cloud, which is again something quite unique. So it covers the digital integration of the product data and environmental data into the UAE supply chain. And it will be linked, as far as we understand, again from the ministry, linked to the boundary controls and checks into customs. So then it will be completely a watertight system to control where the product is coming into UAE, where it has been made, and has got those necessary assurance certifications and approvals in hand. Otherwise, they won't be accepted. Again, this is something quite unique and quite interesting. So there are other requirements. Obviously, one of the key requirements is a periodic reporting to ministry. We are the notified body as CARES, so we will be conducting the necessary assessment work on behalf of MOIAT, the ministry. And then we have got the responsibility to report periodically to ministry. That is going to be, for now, quarterly. This is the cover page. As you can see, it's been approved as a legislation, as a law on the 27th of November. and signed by His Highness Al Maktoum, Rashid Al Maktoum. And so it is right now a requirement as it's published. So the transition is already agreed as 1 year. So from end of November this year, this is going to be implemented fully, and it's going to be mandated by the relevant municipalities. I am aware from our communications with the ministry, they've been issuing circulars to the relevant government departments to make sure it's been, as required, mandated in different level in the supply chain. This is the content of the legislation, and you will see the scope of application. We just touched based on that briefly. Obligations of the applicant, what the applicant needs to do, and what exactly the necessary preparations they need to follow. And obviously product environmental requirements, which is, I have just mentioned, touch based on that, in addition to the technical and operation requirements. And the ECAS mark, because this is going to be a requirement. So we need to make sure we can find the ECAS mark on the product label and also on the product itself. So, and yes, and there are two key annexes, annex number 1 and 2, because one is mentioning about the requirements from a manufacturer point of view, what exactly they need to comply with. It's very, very straightforward, and then the requirements are very clear. And the second annex is about the testing requirement for the product. If the product is introduced into the UAE market for the first time from that specific manufacturer, there are some certain clear set of requirements they need to follow. So this is, again, made it quite clear as part of this regulation. Couple of key points. This is the environmental part of it. In the regulation, article number 5, it addresses about the product environmental requirements. So it mentions about the mill, the steel producers, it has to be ISO 14001 certified. That's one of the key requirements, and from an independent and accredited certification body. And the second part is EPD reporting. So the manufacturer of carbon steel bars for the concrete reinforcement and billets in utilizing the production of reinforcement and coil products, they shall furnish an EPD report. Yes, that's why it is unique, and it's been part of the legislation right now, which is, again, quite a game changer regulation. And I haven't seen up to that level of integration into the legislative requirements really in any other countries. So this is the cloud, where the cloud is mentioned. In Annex number 1, the requirements of the quality management system, Section D, it addresses specifically, and Clause 13 addresses specifically the cloud. There are many other clauses, obviously, in the legislation. So if anyone is interested in, I would be happy to share the link so you can see what these key requirements are going to be. And this clause is addressing very clearly about what electronically available product data means here, and what exactly the information is to be made available and for which organizations. Basically, the key requirement is making sure the relevant the designated authority should have an access to that digital enabled product data and environmental data, and also representative of designated authority as a notified body like CARES. We are responsible to operate that cloud system to make sure that product data can be made available for the access by the ministry. This is the key requirements from the digital side. Static QR code is one of the key one, and which gives you the provenance data. Simply, if you remember, I mentioned to you, it's very critical and important to know where the steel product is manufactured. Otherwise, you wouldn't know how exactly it's been made and how exactly it's been transported into your area where it's been further downstream processed. So if you need to know that information, the simplest approach of the digital cloud system is integrating the static QR code, which is very straightforward. On any product label, on the steel bundles, when you go any construction site right now in UAE, it's already been implemented, by the way. If you simply scan it, you will be able to get that information listed here in the name of the manufacturer, place of the manufacturer of the product, the actual scope of approval, date of expiry of certificate, and also name of the details of the notified body. You would be able to access by simply scanning this static QR code. This is, again, something quite interesting. The dynamic QR code part is more technical, which is giving you an access to the product data As if you remember, I just mentioned to you in the digitalization section, you would be able to get that all product information, no paper copy, no material test certificates. Everything is directly retrievable by simply scanning the QR code on the product label. So if you simply scan the product code, the dynamic QR code on the product label, you would be able to get that information right away if you're an authorized user. So that's again something quite important and really quite game changer. This is a simplified certification process flow chart. It gives you how it works, and if you can see from the application stage till the decision making how the process works, and it's quite crystal clear. If anyone wants to discuss further detail again, I would be happy and provide information. Okay, these are the last two slides. I'm just going to talk. Because as we talk, most of the clients, it could be the government entities or private project owners, they want to understand how they can specify low emission or low carbon construction products. One of them, and one of the key one is steel. So we don't name it like green steel, but this government entity specifically they already mentioned as green steel. And I just would like to drag your attention to see how the whole world has started to change really from the procurement point of view. So this institution we're talking about is in Singapore. And specifically, if you dive into detail, you will find a lot of information in their website. But this is LTA, which is the Land Transport Authority, similar to our RTA in UAE, in Dubai. And there are good definitions about their rating systems and how the green construction product is being certified against, what exactly the steps they follow, and etc. So based on that, this is again something CARES work with Singapore government, especially Green Building Council, who are the developer of this green building product rating system. So we contribute to them from the steel industry point of view. So this is the spec. So if you look at that, they made, I think, quite bravely a fantastic new specifications, and the key requirements they're addressing here in projects LTA is working with. Of course, not entirely the full projects of LTA, because there won't be enough material they are specifying here. So we need to be mindful. So that's why they have kind of an understood and agreed threshold, which is covering 50% of their total steel needs, has to be from 90% plus recycled content or scrap-based steel products. That's one of the key requirements. And this 90% is their limit. And then in the SGBC, which is the Green Building Council rating system, they should be in the leader category, which is the 4 ticks. Again, this in order to have a 4 ticks, you have to have EPD reporting, and you have to have also within the boundaries of your emission figure. So they have, again, quite bravely put emission figures and factors like thresholds in order to get that 4 ticks. So if any steel producer or if any contractor wants to be using a steel from a mill, a steel mill, they have to make sure that their EPD is independent and verified and is available. And the steel is made minimum 90% scrap content, recycled scrap. And also, they have to be within this range of GWP figure. It cannot be above, otherwise they won't be able to use, they're not allowed to use in this specific construction projects. Yes, this is again something quite brave, but we really congratulate the institute, the LTA, the authority, and because this is again, I think, beginning of a lot of the steps of changes really in the construction industry procurement mechanism. So yes, this is the changes already started. That's all I can say. So green procurement and addressing the green specification is coming into force specifically. So that's the end of my presentation. I know the content is quite intense, but we just wanted to use the time given more efficiently, hopefully. But if you have any questions or anything, this is my email address, and you can reach me of course, through iStructD as well. So I would be happy to answer if you got any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayhan, for giving such a detailed information and how the government in different part of the world taking proactive step and how UAE is ahead in this race. So now let us, we will request our participants to open, they can put their questions in Q&A, and we will have a small quiz for our participants, like how attentively they participate. So the first question which we want to ask our participant, in one of the slide, there was a mention about carbon emission. If I use 90% scrap and electric arc furnace, what amount of carbon will be emitted? You can give answer. Is it 0.8 kg per kg or 2.5 kg per kg? Approximately. The slide had answer in kg per metric ton. So you can provide your answer in a chat box. All our participants on YouTube, they can also we'll wait for another 30 seconds.
Dear Hemant, shall I stop sharing the screen?
Yes, please. Thank
Okay.
you. So the answer was 0.8 kg per kg. Correct? And now, we have received one question. Ayhan, how CARES take care about it may happen. People come up with a forged QR code or some duplicate QR code. So how the digital infrastructure ecosystem cares for this forgery type work?
It's a very good question, and it's very relevant. And thank you to the question owner, to be honest. And because this is quite critical, I guess. This is very likely to happen on paper copies. And anything and everything about in this PDF world, you know what things going on, and then how easy, unfortunately, to open to those risks of falsifications and fraud issues and so on. But in this QR code system, the information you would get it is not coming from anybody. It's coming from our cloud system. So if you scan it, if it's something made up, a QR code, you wouldn't be able to get anything because it's not linked to any system. So simply, that QR code system is produced under the license of CARES by the manufacturers we assess and audit. We keep their system under control. So they have obviously an ERP system. We call it like SAP system in the manufacturing management program or kind of tools wise. This is linked to our cloud system with the help of API, which is the access points. And with automatic transition of that information is connected to our cloud system. So, and then that cloud system enables accessibility by simply scanning the QR code system, which is linked to that the manufacturer product data. So it is extremely, extremely unlikely.
Thank you. Yeah, so the infrastructure which has been created, like Burj Khalifa, H2S, and NEOM project, it requires a material which is certified and comes from authority like CARES. So we can trust and we can build as a structure engineer. We are confident the material which we are using, it is the right material and quality testing. So we will wait for our participants for next question. Just let me read.
Please.
So one of the questions we have from participants, how we can find, like you inform, there are 140 mills under CARES certification. So how they can find manufacturers using internet or the mobile app?
Internet is extremely easy, and you need to simply go to the CARES website, and there is I think quite a fantastic search engine. All you need to do is put the country of origin if you know, or the country, or if you want to focus on the UAE manufacturers, simply put United Arab Emirates and then click the button search, and you will get all approved companies, their scope of approvals, and also the content, their the certificate validity, everything within this website. This is one part of diving into detail about and understanding which manufacturers based in where and what approval CARES is providing to them. The second information, you can get it again from CARES website. Thank you. You put that link into the chat box. This is quite important. I would like anyone to follow it. If you simply scan it, you will be able to be diverted into the sustainability page. And there are EPD section. If you want to know the carbon of that specific manufacturer, if it is one of those EPD certified manufacturers, because not all of them, unfortunately, yet issued an EPD report in the UAE, but with the help of this regulation, I know, and I personally aware, 100% of them right now working on it. So because this is becoming a requirement, it's mandated heavily. So that's why you simply go to this page, and you will go to the all listed manufacturers' names into the listed EPD the page, and you can click on it. You can access the data. It's very quick. So if you want to know which manufacturer has got which GWP figure, it's in your fingerprints.
Good. So one more question we have, because like we have a graduate member attending this presentation, and one of their objective is material. So which application you would recommend to download on their mobile to further enhance about certification from CARES and the value GWP?
It's again another very good question. I think anybody can download the CARES app by simply using the static QR code, which is available. If it's an Android machine, it's again, if you give me a second, I will bring the card from here. Simply, this is the card, and then this is giving you the static QR code, and the other one is dynamic, or the other way around. But if you can simply scan it, and you would be able to download it, or if you are going through your, Google Play or the Apple Store, the App Store, so you can easily find out the CARES app, and then if you download it, and you would be able to access that information. And if you want to know which company is approved, there are a couple of things you can do. And the most up-to-date information is available in the website. I recommend them to check regularly. If they are in doubt of anything, like the scope, because scope may change, I wouldn't trust any paper copies anymore, even no any PDFs. Simply go through the CARES website and then look at which companies has been approved in any individual country. And then you can demand the certificate by simply putting your details, and automatically from our system, the required information will be emailed back to you in about 2-3 minutes. So it's very easy.
Thank you. Like we have answers from our participants. We will congratulate Priyadarshini for giving the right answer. Kudos. And we have a last question now. How can embodied carbon in reinforcement material be reduced through alternative strategies beyond the use of recycled materials, such as through material efficiency, innovative manufacturing processes, or design optimization? Big question.
And another great question.
Great.
I must admit, I'm impressed, really. Well, it's a combination of these listed, to be honest. And very quickly, from the steelmaking point of view, I think I've got some good news. I mean, it's not that desperate. I mean, because I know the region, GCC region, is quite heavily dominant by using virgin iron ore steel and using electric arc furnace together. We call it DRI plus electric arc furnace, because this is perfectly good, perfectly normal for the country to choose that way of steel making, because it's more efficient, more effective, because you have availability of the gas, and then you can use it and then convert it into the product that you're aiming to manufacture in the end. Right now, a lot of technologists really spending quite a lot of time to find out how best this GWP figure, the carbon figure, can be reduced by simply introducing another processing gas, we call it, or decarbonization gas, hydrogen. So there are plenty of works going on in using hydrogen in steelmaking industry. And we do attend conferences globally, and we've been hearing from different, obviously, technology providers and technology companies, and it's imminent. We just need to be patient. And obviously bringing that level of green steel manufacturing or low carbon steel manufacturing by using green hydrogen, because if you're not using green hydrogen, it doesn't make much sense, which means that how you manufacture hydrogen is another important part, because your scope 1, 2, 3 all calculated in your embodied carbon as a steel manufacturer. So it's not about just you are using green just deoxidizing agent as a green hydrogen. There will be other impacts we need to all collectively consider. So I'm very positive. I think UAE is one of the pioneer in this area. I've been talking to strategists in this sector, the logistics, and obviously the hydrogen manufacturers, which we are all coming together as a big consortium. And lots of government are heavily funding these institutions because they are desperately in need of making that novel technologies and no innovative approach to be flourished very soon. So I'm expecting within maybe 6 up to 10 years time, everything will be different, and there will be a lot more advanced, more green, and more efficient way of steelmaking technologies will be used, starting from UAE. I'm quite positive.
Thank you for all our participants for asking intelligent questions and a distinguished speaker. And like to add, UAE has started work on hydrogen-based vehicle, and in last week, UAE has tied up, is working hand in hand with ExxonMobil in Texas for hydrogen technology. So we have now, and like the recording will be available on YouTube, and like we are working on providing certificate. Like one of the questions from participant was like CPD certificate. We are working on that system to how to deliver the certificate. Will there be anything like green reinforcement anytime soon?
I think yeah, we answered this question.
Yes.
First of all, we try to avoid the definition of green steel because there's no set agreed the definition by the standard institutions about green steel. It's not yet there. So I would definitely recommend anyone who read this anywhere be more suspicious, more careful, and more dubious about it. So just need to be diving into detail to understand what they exactly mean by doing that, by saying that. So it would take time. And yes, there are possible to manufacture low carbon emission steel, but zero carbon emission steel is not really going to happen soon. That's not, we are expecting that, to be honest. So we need to be more patient.
Thank you. So now we would like to thank our YMG Group Chairman Basil for supporting for organizing this event. So big clap for Basil. And we are thankful to all the participants who actively participate and ask questions to our distinguished speaker. And now the next session, we will be meeting face to face. So just keep watch on LinkedIn page for UAE Regional Group. So the next meeting will be face to face. Thank you to our distinguished speaker. Big thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Basil.
Thank you, Hemant.
So we'll close.
Yes, I'll be ending the session now.